The setup sounds incredibly simple. 4 Atlanta men take a canoe trip through the mighty Georgia wilderness. Somebody cue the banjo. Deliverance. I'll be real with you. There'll be parts of this film that are hard to talk about. There's going to be parts of this film that people don't want to know about, that people don't want to remember. But with a film like Deliverance, it comes with a stern warning. It comes with a reputation. It has a legend to it that once it's seen, well, you're never, ever going to be able to forget it. Period. It's that impactful of a coming-of-age story. And I, despite all of its controversies and bad taste, love it. And I won't apologize for it. I just won't. Because Deliverance isn't comfortable. It wasn't comfortable in 1972, and more than 50 years later, it sure as hell isn't comfortable now. And I think that's exactly why we're still talking about it. Because when people hear Deliverance, they usually think of 2 things. The banjo and that scene. You know the one I'm talking about. Even people who have never sat down and watched this movie know about it. It's been parodied, it's been referenced, it's been quoted, it's been beaten into our subconscious and our pop culture for decades. And somewhere along the way, the reputation of that scene became almost bigger than the movie itself. But Deliverance is so much more than its most infamous moment when you really think about it. If that's all you know about this movie, you're missing one of the most important pieces of survival horror ever put on film, and yeah, I said it. Horror. Because I know Deliverance isn't traditionally classified as a horror film. It's a thriller, it's an adventure movie, it's a survival drama. Whatever. This thing, you watch it, and you tell me this is not horrific. There aren't going to be any zombies, there's not going to even be a demon. No mass killer chasing these guys through the woods. The monster in Deliverance is isolation. It's real fear. It's realizing that once you've traveled so outside the safety of that civilization that all the rules you live your life by suddenly mean absolutely nothing. They live things a little bit differently than in the city that they do in Deliverance. In Georgia. No police. No ambulance. No cell phone. Nobody coming to save your ass. Nobody. Just 4 men, 2 canoes, and miles of untamed wilderness that couldn't really give a shit less whether any of them make it home. You're not supposed to be there, this movie says. And that's where Deliverance gets right under my skin. At the beginning of this movie, these guys think they're going on a simple little adventure. Lewis especially. Burt Reynolds plays Lewis like a man who has been waiting his entire life for civilization to collapse. He's overconfident, he's strong, he's very prepared, he's got the bow, he's got the arrow, he's talking about survival and how society has made people soft. This dude is ready, okay? At least he thinks he is. And another thing that I love about this film, Deliverance slowly strips that confidence away. This film is made in chronological order. So when this thing starts, the actors haven't seen the river yet. They're setting up camp. They're finding the hillbillies to rent the car, to drive it back, to drive down to the river, and then just day by day, they're in the river, they're in the rapids, they're getting their ass kicked, the bruises are coming, their tempers are shorter, the pale, the meanness on their face, the exhaustion comes. This is filmed chronologically. So day by day, as more bad shit gets to happen, the actors had no clue what was happening. They got an intense script, and they just have to roll with it. And that's what makes this thing so intense as a survival film, is that they were really living this. No stunt doubles, no safety nets, no excuses. Get your ass in there. Some of those scenes with Ned Beatty, like trying to crawl himself out of that river, stuck in those eddies, stuck in those whirlpools, man, all that shit really happened. That's what's so powerful about this film, is it's filmed, it's lit perfectly, it's a natural movie of these guys going down the river in a canoe. One last hurrah, one last stand of man, right? A real, like, fucking conversation stimulator. Like, they're going to be together. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a life-changing experience. Boy, were they fucking wrong, man. Another thing I love about this film is the river doesn't give a shit how tough you are. The woods don't care how much money you make back in Atlanta. The people these guys encounter certainly don't care who they were before they got there. Out here, none of that means anything, okay? Forget that. That fear, being somewhere you don't belong, surrounded by people you don't understand, completely cut off from help, is something horror movies have been milking ever since. That isolation is the fear. The people do things in a way that you can't understand. There's no turning back in Deliverance. Once they're in that water, things are put into motion that they cannot. I think that this film cuts you off from society, cuts you off from everything, man. Think about it. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Hills Have Eyes. Wrong Turn, Wolf Creek, Eden Lake. You take ordinary people, you pull them away from everything familiar, and you drop them somewhere completely isolated, and you introduce one simple idea. You shouldn't have come here. We don't like you. That's basically an entire branch of horror, and Deliverance has been doing it since 1972, 2 years before Leatherface ever picked up a chainsaw. I'm not completely comparing this to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there are some similarities there. 5 years before Wes Craven sent a family into the desert and the hills have eyes, Deliverance wasn't the first movie to discover that isolation is scary. Of course not. How could we know how terrifying it was going to be just being thrown out in the middle of nowhere with people that don't understand you? I do believe, though, it helps show filmmakers just how terrifying that could be. And here's the crazy part. For the first chunk of Deliverance, nothing supernatural happens. There's no giant reveal. There isn't even some massive body count. It's just a little bit off. Things don't totally make sense. It starts almost immediately. The locals stare at these guys differently. Even trying to get gas feels alien, feels strange. Conversations don't flow the way they're supposed to, is what I'm trying to say. There's this feeling that Ed, Lewis, Bobby, and Drew, they've entered somebody else's world. And then we get one of the most famous scenes in movie history. Dueling banjos. Talk about being typecast, right? Is that a possum playing banjo? And it's kind of cool that wasn't actually the kid playing it. It's kind of cool to know there was a third hand in there playing it. But as we kind of explore this plot of land, as we're trying to find someone to drive our cars back up there to Aintree, we see someone in a chair. We see disabilities. We see heat. We see loss. We see grief. And we see people that have nothing left to lose. The kid answers him on the banjo when Drew starts playing. And the movie is just off and running. Suddenly these two people who seemingly have absolutely nothing in common are communicating perfectly. No conversation needed, just music. It gets faster. Drew starts smiling. Everybody's watching, and for this tiny little moment, the barrier between these two worlds, it does disappear. It's gone. It's lifted. The veil has been shattered. You get a little bit of mountain dancing, right? A little dancing outlaw going on. Old Pa Kettle's up there just, man, it's awesome, cutting a rug. And then the song ends. Drew reaches out his hand. He almost feels like maybe he should tip him. And that moment is when Deliverance takes over. The kid doesn't take his hand. It tells you everything you need to know about Deliverance in that one moment. These two worlds cannot exist next to each other. They're different things. They cannot even connect for a moment. And our four guys are about to find out in the worst possible fucking way. Man, I remember the first time I watched Deliverance like it was yesterday. I can see the rug. I can see my best friend Brian's carpet. I remember the Godfather's pizza. I remember the soda we were drinking. I remember the shape of the TV. And I remember going to Hollywood Video and picking out Rosemary's Baby because of the infamous quote, "Hail Satan," and the Deliverance, "You got a pretty mouth, boy, squeal like a pig." And we didn't know what those were from. I want to say I was 15 or 16 years old, brought these home, fired up Deliverance first. Never been the same ever since seeing that movie, man. Deliverance shocked me. First, I was like, this is just a really good movie, like coming of age kind of drama where like you want to be with your best friends out on the lake. There's always one alpha that you're like, this guy's a fucking dick. You got other people that just want to kind of go along with it. And then you got people that are like moving on in their lives. It's a perfect coming of age story. So when I watch this thing and things start to happen and you start to get further and further down this river, things pick up speed, things escalate, and you can't get that time back on the river. And I just remember being shocked, absolutely gobsmacked at the infamous scene in this film. And I mean, it scared me pretty good that there are people out there that do not respect you, that are just going to take things by force. That freaked me out, man. The hillbilly without the teeth, the way it's all set up and they're still trying to be nice to him, then all of a sudden you're at gunpoint. Walk up on there, them hills there, boy. And just infamous scene, man. It still sucks to watch that. I can't even imagine seeing this in the theater in 1972. Because it was the #1 box office hit. It was a very, very popular novel. They wanted Jack Nicholson to play in this film. Can you imagine Jack Nicholson next to Burt Reynolds? Jesus Christ, that would have been a fucking movie, dude. Watching that scene, and then the comeuppance when Ed's character is sitting there with the belt around his neck and he's up against the tree, and all of a sudden you see Lewis take aim with that bow, and they cut away from the atrocities that are happening. You have this moment of hope, like you got to get out of here, things are going to be okay. And then of course we have the death, we have the guys coming together and they have to bury this body or they need to turn themselves in. An impossible choice for a place they probably shouldn't have been fucking with in the first place. Absolutely stunning moment, crazy effective, scary moment of this film that just takes a piece of you. There are some scenes in this film, man, that, I mean, I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's an absolute masterpiece. I probably watched this movie twice a year. I watched it last night. When the weather, it's kind of like time to like go fishing or go camping. Like I always want to watch Deliverance. It reminds me of that time. And then usually like sometime, you know, in the wintertime where I just need like, I don't know. I love action movies and I love survival films. And I love Deliverance, man. I loved that everything was filmed like without a net. They just threw them out there and they said, hey man, you're going to learn how to canoe. You're going to like do these rapids right. And it's fucking intense, man. Like you can see them actually struggling, watching it, and like on a big TV with the soundtrack, like the sound of the water, like they're really struggling in this film. And the way that it's shot is just gorgeous, man. It's absolutely perfect. This river, right? And then all of a sudden when he's scaling the mountain, he's got to go chase this hillbilly down from the hills. Sorry if you're from that area. I'm sure you've been stereotyped for a long time. I apologize. I'm not from there, okay? I know you probably don't think everyone squeals like a pig like that, but watch yourself, all right? I hear banjos playing. This is an intense film that I think everybody should watch. I mean, it's really popular. It's been, you know, added to the National History Museum as one of the most important films just a few years ago. So yeah, this is obviously a huge movie, but I think that it is a survival horror film that it just works. It works on every single level, and I think it inspired a lot of horror moments for sure that you see in the late 70s. That's my favorite period of horror, is 70s, and I think that this thing is just a flawless, perfect film, and I hope that you'll rewatch it this summer. I apologize for what you have to go through. Now, we had similar things happen, and I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left. It's not always going to be pretty to get to the end of the rainbow, but Deliverance is a film worth seeing. Until next time, if you're new here, do all those things stupid YouTubers like myself do. Like, comment, hype, subscribe, talk some shit down there. And yeah, we'll see you at the riverbed. Cheers. I love you so much.